Yeah, alright. Thanks, YouTube. Whatever that was. Let's get right back into the game. Is that my... Should be mine, right? Yes, let's go for it. One possibility does spring to mind. Sorry about that. What do you mean, Kazuma? Yume University currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain. And I'm fairly certain that one of them, studying in the medical faculty's research laboratory, is a young English woman. What? You're a shrewd man. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. You mean, when I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. Then the court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The Englishwoman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Shazay Brett. Oh, fly! Away! Why are you in here? She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory of the Yume University Medical Faculty. Are you by the window? Can I get you out? Where you at? Asshole? Damn it. I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of this lady's presence at the scene and ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. I must now be up to your excellency. It must now be up to your excellency. See the fly, tell me. I'll kill it. It must now be up to your excellency to decide how to deal with this situation. Very well. My thoughts on the matter are as follows. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise. Namely, that the victim was dining alone. However, as we have now discovered that this premise is false, it would be a desecration, oh my gosh, of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point. But your excellency, I could have played the day until the end. Oh, well. Your excellency. Why? That would mean missing the noon deadline of a ruling in order to send the telegraphic report to Great Britain. Our own government will surely be very displeased by such actions. Calm yourself, counsel. Yeah, come inside. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings of my courtroom. Thank you. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes, sir. You will locate this Shazay Brett and escort her to the courtroom with the utmost urgency. At once, Your Excellency. But that means you'll be going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau. as I said before. It is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So it won't be a problem. No, he will just die in the meantime. Nothing will get in my way. Court will adjourn briefly. The prosecution must call the English student José Brett to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear? Yes. Your Excellency! Good. Then we will have a 30-minute recess before convening. To be continued. Well... well... 5 more minutes and save your progress, yes! Just save over it. Yes, that's fine. Thank you. That is not back though. 22nd of November. 11:38 AM. Supreme Court of Judicature. I want to know how to pronounce this word. Google. Tell me. Judicature. Leo. Don't you normally have the option to get it read loud? Hello? Then don't. Ah, there we go. Play. I feel ignored. Could you push up?
Judicature.
Judicature, okay. I wasn't so wrong. Defendant's antechamber 5. Excellent work, Ryonosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, look at you in there. You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight, but before I knew it, you started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it. It's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again. Anyway, it looks like we've exposed your phantom lady at last. Miss José Brett, a student from Great Britain, is she? That's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident. Overly confident in the courtroom, but my powers of observation are one thing I'm sure of. Yes, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself, then, on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table, I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor, and just after I bent down and picked it up, bang. I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot had come from. The waiter ran over to me, looking as white as a sheet, and he bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective, he apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shot in the pantry, I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. Ah, there you are. Well done, both of you. Professor Mikotoba. Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy, our justice system even more so, which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled. Well, it makes no difference, lawyer or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avoid the worst crisis of his life. I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What are you saying, Kazuma? So that's your stance. I was afraid you'd feel that way. Kazuma! Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man. To me? Yes. You need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say, I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. Come to think of it, he sent the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Yes, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. John H. Wilson was a visiting professor at UMA. And it was I who invited him. Oh, I see. I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not forget who we are going up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. But I've no doubt that you pair will put up a good fight right to the last. Best of luck. Thank you. Now then, I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need. Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama. Defendant Naruhodo. Court recess is over. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once. It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow. For those old fossils know what hit them. Kazuma? What? Thank you. Really. What for? Well... If you hadn't said you believed me, then I'm fairly sure I'd already have been found guilty by now. Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer and as a friend. Coming from you, that means a lot. If I'm found guilty in this trial, he's really going to give up on his dream of studying abroad. That's the kind of true friend he is. So, this isn't just my battle anymore. Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Alright then. I'll save the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me to one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yume Cafeteria on University Street. With an extra large portion, of course. 22nd of November, 12:09 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 2. The court hereby resumes the trial of Ryonosuke Naruhodo. Prosecutor Auchi, have you managed to subpoena the witness? Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds. And thanks to a certain young stripling, the prosecution is now under rather painful scrutiny from the government. Sorry. You shouldn't be sorry. They made sure that a witness vital to this trial, most likely responsible for the murder, did not show up on the records until you pointed it out. So, you shouldn't be sorry. I would have probably forgotten that woman if it were me standing trial and defending myself. I would have probably forgotten who is even there. I have a really bad memory when it comes to people and people's faces, so maybe I would have been able to point out that there was someone else, but I'm not so sure. I keep forgetting stuff. Mainly because of stress and lack of sleep, I know, but still, I'm getting older. It's not working out well for me when it comes to memory. Oh well. But still, you should not be sorry, Ryonosuke. If anyone should be sorry, it's the prosecution that forces your hand in this. Alright, let's go on. Let the government scrutinize, that's the job. It's nothing to worry about. It's highly unlikely that the good relations we forge with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. Will you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down our nation founders? Again, terribly sorry. If the friendship between our nations is really so fragile, then the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. True, true. You really have nothing to worry about, Ryonosuke. What do you mean? A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan? Or of England? Shut up, you chummed up rookie boy. You and your friend know nothing of the situations our nation finds itself in. Do you, though? You are a prosecutor. You are not part of the legislative party? And feudal Japan, I believe, still had a king type of person. I forgot the title. I'm sorry. A feudal lord. that ruled over everything. Meaning, you had no part in any of those discussions, my dear friend. By aligning ourselves with this great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures. That may be so, but should you be looking for a scapegoat this day and age? Or should you be looking for the real culprit? I won't deny that I'm no expert. I'm just a student and one who could arguably study harder too. Thanks for pointing it out. But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there is one thing that I feel very strongly. A country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all. Yeah? Yeah? What's happening? Well said, Ryunosuke, despite the wide-eyed look of terror. You little brat. Thank you, Counsel. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system and exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witness taking the stand. The visiting student from Great Britain, Ms. Jose Brett. Yes. Your Excellency! That is quite the head you've got going on there. Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan, and from such a distant land. Tea. Someone bring English tea. In England, no discussions take place without tea. Is that true? No idea. So, could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court? Of course. My name is Satoru Hosonaga. I've been working undercover as the lead waiter at La Carnival. Yes, we know all about you already. Inspector Hosonaga, where are your manners? In England it's always ladies first. Is that true? No idea. More importantly, a little earlier today you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are the one thing you're sure of. Oh, yes, I think I did, didn't I? Yet your description for this amazing sight was simply a woman. Sorry, Ryunosuke, but powers of observation aside, your powers of descriptions are sorely lacking. Guilty. So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you for your name and occupation, please. Okay. Sure. I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but... What? Speaking in code, alright? The lady says her name is Jose Brett. She comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student currently enrolled in UMA University's medical faculty. Oh my, what a rare treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British people. I'm afraid I don't understand a word you said, but it was as beautiful as Hummingbird's song. As far as I can tell. The detective is translating your words faithfully enough. Yes, I agree. You'll obviously do fine in England, Kazuma. Her English doesn't rattle you at all, does it? Nor you. You've clearly been paying attention in your English classes, Ryunosuke. The courtroom thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago, at a restaurant called La Carnival, a grim murder took place. The court has been led to believe that you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct? She says, yes. This could take some time. So even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese? She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. Interesting, when you're the one who engineered her escape. I was just following special orders from the bureau. Well now, dear lady, would you be so kind as to cast your eyes over this photographic print? Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps? Apparently it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight. Do you mean to say? Yes, it would appear the lady did witness the crime. The very moment when the accused, standing right there in this courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. Order. Order in court. Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolutely conclusive witness statement. Well, it looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is. Unfortunately, I will have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described. Witness testimony. A frightening and sorrowful sight. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beef steak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor and they got into a fierce argument. Then, not long after, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. Huh, this is a condemning. No, I didn't have any kind of argument with the professor at all. Quiet, you filthy wretch. Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard, and look at this sorrow. A snow-white angel. I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court is going to believe. You're still making the same mistake, Ryunosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. That's a lesson you need to learn. He's so annoying. Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took statements from this lady and the 2 witnesses who testified before and reported back to the bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. The testimonies of the last 2 witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so. On the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit as she is today. As you can see, there's nowhere about her person where she could conceal a firearm. Her head, her stupid tail feathers. There are a lot of places where you can conceal a firearm. I would think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to. Unless and until the precise location where the witness is to have hidden a weapon can be shown, this is mute. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Those are the witness's own words on the matter. That's ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. Don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke. But I didn't fire the gun I picked up. There must have been another gun there that day. You're right about that. Which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, that's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we will need to pull her testimony apart. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. Cross-examination. Frightening and sorrowful side. I had arranged to meet for slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. Yes! After 2 p.m. in fact, that's really quite a late luncheon, isn't it? You don't keep up with the latest fashion from Britain, do you? Late luncheons are en vogue, isn't that right? No. A decisive English no has quite a sting to it. The gentlewoman is currently working in the victim's research laboratory, it seems. So it was apparently a daily occurrence that they would lunch together. But on the day in question, the victim had another appointment at the clinic first. Yes, which we can prove from the medical report card that was submitted as evidence earlier. That's right. Miss Brett and the victim went to lunch following the victim's treatment, which is why it was so late. Yes, that all makes perfect sense. Such wonderful logic. What a shining example of English intelligence this fine gentlewoman is. So you both arrived at the restaurant. What happened next? The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beef steak. He was unable to eat, you say? And that was because he'd have just had a tooth removed at Hotter Clinic, correct? That's right. You're supposed to actually check with the witness before answering. Was Miss Brett aware of that fact? It seems so, yes. She'd heard that the professor was to have some dental treatment. So that would mean that it was you who ate the steak pictured here, is that right, Miss Brett? That's right, yes. The print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left after the horrifying event. Exactly as it was left. Dear me, what a harrowing experience. To have traveled to a distant island on the far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Have no fear, my dear lady. I swear I will crush the evil fiend that has subjected you to this terrible plight. Go somewhere else. You stink. So, the victim, Dr. Wilson, had nothing to eat or drink at all. That's right, other than some carbonated water. Just water? Yes, the professor was unable to eat, but he had been given permission to drink water. So it appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass of water each. They each raised a glass of carbonated water. What do you think, Ryunosuke, about the witness's last statement? It's very meaningful. That last statement of yours, Miss Brett, has a profound bearing on this case. Well, how fascinating. Do tell us, what is this profound bearing, huh? The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness's last statement to be formally added to the testimony. Well, sidestepped, counsel. Very well, Miss Brett. Kindly repeat what you just said to be added to your official testimony. Gladly, she said. That was brilliant, Kazuma. I'm going to remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. I could really use that phrase. I'd hope. There's some more useful tips you're picking up from this experience than that, Ryunosuke. I ordered a beefsteak for myself, and the professor and I said cheers over a glass of carbonated water. Yes! So both you and the professor drank this carbonated water, did you? Yes. Being the waiter, I poured the glass myself. I clearly remember doing so. Except you're actually a detective. And the beefsteak, that was for you, Miss Bright? The lady says that she'd heard it was not customary to eat beef here until Japan opened its doors to the world. Yes, that's true. What a frightful place, is the lady's opinion. And I've heard it's not customary to eat sashimi in Great Britain. Now that's frightful. Every country has its own cuisine. As long as people have food to eat, what does it matter what it is? True, come to think of it, the first time I tried carbonated water was much more of a shock than the first time I tried beef. But anyway, back to this witness's statement. Somehow I feel like there's something out of place in what she's saying. We need to pounce on even the slightest thing now. Because you never know what might lead us to our goal. Our goal is turning this trial around. Understood, Kazuma? After a while, the accused came over. Present. There's only one. There's only one. Yes. That's it. Let me just confirm something, please. It's to do with his photographic print. Just a short while ago, you spoke of this print showing the victim's table at the crime scene. That it was exactly as it was left. That is correct, the lady says. Well, that is. It's odd. Very odd. Hey, Erica, how you doing? Did everything go well with your appointment yesterday? Dear me, what's odd in the defense's inability to express itself? Ryunosuke, what is it about the print that looks odd to you? Well, obviously, it's the cheers. The cheers? Miss Brett just told us that she and the professor said cheers over a glass of water. But if that's true, there should be 2 glasses on the table, not 1. Huh? You're quite right, Counsel. There's only 1 glass pictured here. Are we supposed to be impressed by this nitpicking over minutiae? Minutiae? What possible difference does the presence or absence of a glass make on the cake? I've been okay. I like even more sleep than I did yesterday. So expect even more yawning. But other than that, I'm fine. Just one of my feet hurt like crazy. When I step on it, use it, whatever. Guy, could you maybe use your brain before opening your mouth? Objection! It would help. Minutiae, you say? Could it be that the detective here removed a glass from the table to conceal the lady's presence? Of course not. I would never do something so reckless. But there should have been 2 glasses on the table. Or are you going to try to tell me you can clink with only 1? You're quite right. I certainly took 2 glasses to the table. Ah, that sucks. Hope your battery was enough, at least for that. Inspector, what did the lady say? It would seem that it was Miss Brett who took the glass from the table. What? It was all so terrifying, everything that happened. I panicked and thought I should try to hide the fact that I'd been there at all, she says. So that's why the glass in the one picture is full, while the other is empty. I see. Good gracious. Sorry. There, as I showed the court before, this is of no consequence at all. It is. Dude, that is... what's the right word in English? She basically got rid of... Wow. English left me. Of evidence, that's the word, thank you. She got rid of evidence that is punishable by law. I'm not sure if it's punishable at your imaginary court system here, but still it is punishable by law. She is probably the murderer anyway, but still. If I studied law, I would have probably gone crazy playing this game. I already get frustrated with the little knowledge of what it should be like that I have. A real lawyer probably would just cry. Oh, please. We just remember that the student had just murdered this lady's luncheon companion before her very eyes. We could blame her for concealing a glass or two in her state of disarray. Sure. I get shocked, and that's when I grab my glass of water and am like, alright, let's take it with me. Makes total sense. Obviously, that's what happens every time someone is murdered. And I know. The first trilogy is wild. But this frustrates me. This whole case would be null just because they can't prove without a beyond reasonable doubt that Ryunosuke is the murderer, because A, all witnesses so far lied, and the one that presumably saw the murder happen said he was behind the victim and shot him in the back, which positioning is correct. But since we have the proof that he was shot in the front, would basically rule Ryunosuke out as the murderer. He was behind the victim. You can't just shoot bullets in a curve like in Wanted. That movie is wild. I love it, but it's so wild. You stand there and like whip your gun and then the bullet just goes in circles, basically. Oh well. Grammar words, yeah, no, not happening today. Non-existent in this world, in this universe. Let's just get rid of it. Nobody needs it. Who could blame her for concealing a glass of... Yeah, whatever. That's absurd. Oh, really? So do we take it that you are now going to accuse this vulnerable, this murderer, young and beautiful woman, murdering young and beautiful woman of mischief? Yes. What? No, this can't be put down to mischief. I'd like to know exactly how the lady took the glass from the scene. Yeah, right. She doesn't have any... I thought you had no pockets where you could store a gun or something like that. It would seem that she slipped it into a small handbag she was carrying. Big enough for a gun? Maybe? A handbag, you say? Yes, Your Excellency, a small handheld pouch commonly carried by well-to-be women in England. So the beautiful lady has very graciously explained how and why she removed the glass from the scene now. However, the fact remains that this glass has absolutely no bearing on the case. The student has been trying to confuse the court with logical reasoning. You said it yourself, Ouchie-san. With logical reasoning. Hello? What? What I'm saying is more logical than the nonsense that you're spinning together. But in the end, it comes to nothing. He sure wants to. He's not gonna get down to it. Unless maybe if he visits her in her cell. You know. Sadly, that is quite common. Men forcing themselves on other women, on others. Especially women, especially if they're in a higher position, and he will be if she's in a prison cell. Oh, damn it, Doggle. Go somewhere else. Oh, he's farting. He's farting like there's no tomorrow. Alright. But in the end, it comes to nothing. Does it? Does it, though? No more pretentious accusations. You have wasted enough time already. Indeed, the lady has offered a satisfactory explanation as to why she removed it. Guys, use your other brain, please. The brain below does not help in reasoning and connecting the dots. I think henceforth we can consider the matter to have no bearing on the case. You're kidding, right? Counsel, for the defense, are you in agreement? No? Well, I don't know, really. If you want to pursue this matter further, you're going to need to show that it has some deeper significance. Yes, you're right. So she took the class away in her handbag. If there's a deeper significance there... The handbag, my dear. Wait. The lady put the class in her handbag, you say? Yes, do try to keep up. It's already been explained to the court that all English gentlewomen carry handbags for small items. Let me see. A little while ago, Miss Brett stated the following. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. But what she forgot to mention was her handbag. Wow. In which it would be perfectly possible to conceal a gun. Yeah, thanks. For getting your brain out of your pants. Well done, partner. I have a feeling you'd pick up on that too. What are you insinuating, you wild blackguard? It's really very simple. I'm still doing trial, yes, we're still on the first day. The gunshot was heard when the defendant picked up the gun from the restaurant floor. As he didn't fire the gun, we can deduce there must have been another firearm at the scene. And hello, noob. Doing 5 things at once again? The true murder weapon, if you will. You can't seriously be suggesting... Inspector Hosonaga. Yes? Did you or did you not search Miss José Brett's handbag on the day of the murder? No, sir, I did not. As I thought. How are you doing? In other words, another gun. The one that was actually used to kill the professor could have been hidden in Miss Brett's handbag. No! Order! 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 What is the meaning of this, Inspector? The meaning of what, Professor? The prosecutor, ouchie. Why on earth did you not have the lady open her handbag and show you the contents of the Wow. Thanks to your bungling incompetence, now she has to endure these uncomfortable accusations. Brilliant work, partner. Now we have a chance to expose the real woman behind the mask. Do you think so, Kazuma? Someone get him a doctor, please. Well, what a sorry situation. Clearly, you have no faith in the police now. Not in this case. As I said, I did not search the lady's handbag after the shooting, simply because it was unnecessary. Was it, though? Okay. Unnecessary in what way? I ought to thank the student lawyer, really. I have a piece of evidence here that I had completely forgotten about. This photographic print. This print is a photograph. Wow. That I thought would be prudent to take immediately after the shooting. As you can see, it clearly shows Miss Brett's handbag. Well, I never. I can see right through to what's inside. That's right. Apparently, meshwork bags like these are the height of fashion in London at the moment. Ah, so the contents are clearly visible. Exactly. So there was no need to search the lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. As you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Brett's guilt here. Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruhodo-san. Ah! Order. Order. Inspector Hosonaga, you will submit that print as evidence at once. Certainly, Your Excellency. The photograph of the handbag has been entered into the court record. I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness, counsel. The court has now been shown considerable evidence. As the photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further significance. I am satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Indeed, and there is only one logical conclusion. That the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime. No. Just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around, I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it? I must say you put up quite a fight for a rookie student, that is. But the weak are meat, while the strong eat. You are wasting your time. There is no way to defeat true justice. A fact you can chew on to your heart's content from the inside of your cell. This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime that I didn't commit? And Kazuma. His dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma. What? Isn't there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph the detective produced that we can contest, which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well, I will now proceed immediately to the ruling. Seems we will be able to report the British government on time after all. That smug little... Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Wait, Your Excellency. Ryunosuke? I don't think you can rule on this case yet. This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom. Yes. Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print submitted appears to have no further significance. There is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now, that means that if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail I mean, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question. This is blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There can be no problem with this evidence. You'd better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke. Oh, I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag. My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes. Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Maybe the tattoo on the wrist? Very well, I will grant the defense one final opportunity. What? But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You will identify the court where in this print we can see the significant detail to which you have alluded. It's not lighting up. Why is it not lighting up? Yes. Look at this here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description. Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come up with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist? Clearly, that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag. Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Aochi points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean and another university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am? If we can just link that burn to the case, if we can do that, we might be able to prise this shutting door back open again. Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence I can't allow you to pursue what is a little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn, but as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color drained from Miss Brett's face. Really? I have to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what that burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial. How? Anything? Oh, there we go. There we go. This one. This one. This one. What's this, Counsel? Yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency, I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. Do hurry up, Rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further would really be quite inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer, if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How? Can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is it in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn? That thing here. Right here. Oops. Present. The beefsteak? Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate. Your Excellency, are you alright? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of La Carnival. Oh. The emblem on the plate. And the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Oh, Ryunosuke, you genius! Yeah, thank you, thank you. You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant. But even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before or the day before that. It most likely happened some other unrelated time. Well,
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Aochi, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But... I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of La Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter.
Yes!
There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burned themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet, Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream, not on that day or any other before. That's right, and the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant and the old antiques dealer, all of us would without any question have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Aochi? Well, yes, I suppose. So, the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Ryunosuke, do you think? Can it really be true? I never dreamed we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson was already deceased. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible, apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already dead? Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. That's madness! Order, 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 please. Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot. That's right, that's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts.
Objection!
No, Prosecutor Aoichi, it's you who has no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon. As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, his whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. It's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard. It's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. There was poison in her class, that's why she got rid of the class altogether. Can we shortcut this? Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement. But, Your Excellency, the justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgment. I doubt that, but okay. Thank you, Your Excellency. Your smile is creepy. What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Ah, Miss Brett, you speak Japanese. Well, of course I do. I am studying in your country after all. But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? Interpreter. My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking your vulgar tones as much as possible. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen, so I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicate with you all on your own level. Oh, well, you are the epitome of true English gentlewoman, of a true we are truly honored by this lavish consideration you so graciously afford us. I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So, we are finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. Witness testimony. The victim's death. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burned his wrist like that, and when the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there is some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. True, they did not perform an autopsy, meaning they did not check for any contents in his stomach that may have led to an early grave. That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you. Easy does it. I hope that is the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Not at all, not at all. It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Thanks. What was that, a prayer then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with the cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, Counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. Have you failed to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony? I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? I thought you wouldn't rule without proving everything beyond reasonable doubt? Alright, dude. Let's get this started. Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed with the cross-examination. Oh. Ah. Ow. Getting old. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burned his wrist like that. Yes. But his hand was on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You can't not have noticed. Do you think so? Let me ask you something. Sorry. Ever since I arrived at this courtroom and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open. You can't not have noticed, can you? Huh? What? What fun! You hadn't realized. The dear lady is absolutely right. As your friend, you've embarrassed me as well as yourself, Ryunosuke. Why didn't you tell me? Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing? Oh yes, I think my tiny brain can. Yes. Well, I can't. Anyway. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses and toast. Yes. Just press on everything. As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water, is that right? Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at the time, if you remember. Which explains why he ordered the drink, correct, waiter? Exactly as you say, sir. Although... Whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table, I'm afraid I don't remember that. Damn you. I have enough English to understand that, at least. For the benefit of others in the court, it means bless you. I think it means the exact opposite, but okay. Anyway, as far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhaging from ballistic trauma. Yes. Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And as there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death, you ever heard of poison? It can only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life. Dude, look at this gunshot wound. There's almost no blood. There's just the residue from the actual gunshot. There is no blood. Zero. Niente. When do you bleed? When your body is still pumping blood. When is there no blood? When the body's dead. Okay. But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away when the blade was forced brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make it burn like that. And if the victim burned his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out from the kitchen, then he must already have been dead at that point. And yet, the fact is that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, this is a complete waste of time. I concur. Prosecutor Aochi is right. If there is some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. Yes. Without leaving a trace. If someone is shot or strangled or stabbed or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body. Right, you're quite right, dear lady. And as our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga? As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. There would be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it? Oh no! Perish the thought, calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question. Oh, my honor, I, Taketsuchi Ouchi, will cut down any who dare cast such aspersions. A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably couldn't pick up on it anyway. Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the land of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at a crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it, isn't that so? Quite right. La Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. Okay. Saturn indicated that he knows something. It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can. You understand. A killer blow. The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful. Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Ouchi is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't quite seem quite right. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terrible. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony and the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. Kazuma? What, Ryunosuke? There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her, Inspector Hosonaga. The detective? Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant, if it might present an opening, maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself. Let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then. I wonder what Kazuma's thinking. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose, once I press Miss Pratt on her last statement again. There we go. Without leaving any trace, if someone is shot, strangled, blah blah blah, we know that already. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, okay. Okay, as I've said, I always aim for flawless investigation. There would be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it? Sorry. Oh no, perish the thought. Blah blah blah. Yeah, we already know that. Huh. What if But of course, this there we go. There we go. This was the one. Inferior. What do you mean by that? In the land of the great British Empire, the police store everything found. Blah blah. Yep. Quite right. Quite right. Yes. Which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. Yes. There it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. I hate this word. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right. Look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man and his train of thoughts. Sorry? Pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Runosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment, we're focused on Miss Brett, who's the person actually making the current statement. But by moving the marker left and right with AD, you can turn your attention to other people in the stand. While you're looking at the other witness, you'll be able to pursue them with space. If you can catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere among the people on the stand, take a good look around. Alright then, so first I should move the marker across with AD and focus on the detective. Then pursue him with space and see what's on his mind. Here we go. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation... Yeah, can I do that? Hello? Thank you. Pursue. Yeah, what's the meaning of this? Don't die, please. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts. Deeply. It looks like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say. If there's something you'd like to say, please share it with the court. What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. Huh? The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved in the case. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes? Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett? Well, yes. If you don't mind, I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. A crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Is that... This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. Yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle, I can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming, I guarantee it. Not if you die beforehand. I can say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. The carbonated water bottle has been entered into the court record. The carbonated water the victim and Miss Brett shared on the day of the murder. Murder. It was on the victim's table. Okay, Miss Brett. Can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well. Counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fervor. I hate this. Do we have to go through that again? The label's written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what it says, Kazuma? I think it's French. This must be very expensive water. Yes, but what does it say? That's what I was asking. Then go to France and ask. You could just say you don't know. So, this is carbonated water in that drink. This carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. Looks like there's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now. You know, I've been sweating so much I'm absolutely parched. I'll just have a sip of this to keep me going. No, Ryunosuke, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh no, you're right. We don't know what's inside. What might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Ryunosuke, in more ways than one. I wonder, could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. Whee! Whee! Okay. Let's see. Can't make it out. Alright. Oh. Oh. Victim, Dr. Blah blah. Okay. The cork is still in the bottle here. Huh. Hmm. 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 Okay. I have no idea when the poor man has burned his wrist. Yeah. Oh, baby. Shut up. No. No. Idiot. As far as I can remember. Alright, as far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible causes. Please do show me. Present. It's probably not gonna work, is it? Let's press first. Without leaving any traces. If someone is shot or strangled or stabbed or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body. Quite right, dear lady, blah blah, blah blah. As I've said, I always aim for flawless investigation. There would be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it? Oh no, perish the thought, blah 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 blah. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. Yes, evidence. Should I just go for it? Okay. Ah, goddammit. Let me present the bottle. It will probably not go the way I want it to. What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there's one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison. On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order. And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip poison into his drink? There's only one person who could possibly have done it. Jose Brett. It was you? Objection! This is outrageous, to suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile, have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we have only just signed a court of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty? Objection! This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine our individual's guilt with respect to one's crime. What? The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. Ahem. If I may, I will silence you forever. It is you who should be silent. Oh, of course. Dear lady. Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady, to what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior. But no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigate this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the insides of the bottle and its contents. And what did you find, Inspector? I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by Chief Coroner himself. Oh. But you didn't test the glass. I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, Counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution has asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present the court at this point? Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I must really be leaving.
Hold it!
Ah, it's her. Please, wait. Isn't that... What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba. Judicial assistant to the defense. Mikotoba? In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. Yeah. To be continued. Save? Yes. Yes, save all this. Yes, thank you. Yes. Part 3. Ow. Oh. My voice won't be able to keep going for another hour, so I think I'll just leave it here for today. And either come back tomorrow or explore something else. I'm not so sure yet. But I want to complete this trial, so we'll probably get this lady convicted tomorrow. Yeah. I hope you had fun. This game can be quite frustrating, so yeah, I'm sitting there stating the obvious while everyone else is like, what? That can't be true. I'm like, yeah. Now I just need the right evidence to back me up. Otherwise, you guys won't believe me for no reason at all. If only they could use the brain in the head and not the brain in the pens, then I think this whole trial would be over already. But okay, doesn't matter. Alright. Wrong button. This one. Yay! Alright. As I said, I'll probably see you tomorrow as well. For this game, maybe another one. If you have suggestions, please do leave them. Either now in the chat or later in the comments. Thanks, Erika. I did so as well. And yeah. See you tomorrow, I guess. Oh yeah. Voices suck so much. I don't know why, but when I read out loud, my throat gets so dry and it starts hurting, and that's when I know, alright, I have to end this. When I just talk normally, it's fine, but as soon as I read, for no reason at all, it just starts hurting after an hour or two. And I'm like, alright, time for a break. Okay, before I start rambling, thanks for being here, Erika, and Noob for being here earlier. She sure has. Yeah. Mm-hmm. True, true. She's definitely innocent. I agree. Yes, yes, definitely. Bye bye.